You have just been told your A1C is too high. You are staring down the barrel of prediabetes, or you are actively fighting to manage type 2 diabetes. Suddenly, every meal feels like a math equation, and the grocery store produce aisle feels like a minefield. For decades, the standard, overly simplistic advice has been that because sugar is bad for diabetes and fruit contains sugar, fruit must therefore be avoided. But this is a massive biological misunderstanding. Treating a wild blueberry the same way you treat a can of soda is a fundamental failure of nutritional science. Your body does not just absorb food, it decodes it. When you consume the right fruits, the natural sugars are trapped in a complex, microscopic matrix of fiber, water, and deep pigment antioxidants. This matrix acts as a biological braking system, turning a potential sugar spike into a slow, steady trickle of energy. When we look at the fruits that actively reverse high blood sugar and repair insulin sensitivity, we must start with a fruit disguised as a vegetable, the avocado. The avocado is the ultimate metabolic buffer. It contains virtually zero sugar, but what makes it a powerhouse for diabetics is its massive concentration of monounsaturated fats. When you eat an avocado, that healthy fat physically coats your digestive tract and slows down the rate at which your stomach empties. If you eat it alongside a carbohydrate, the fat acts as a biological speed bump, forcing the carbohydrates to break down agonizingly slowly and keeping your blood sugar perfectly flat. Equally powerful are wild blueberries, which act as systemic medicine rather than just a sweet snack. Their deep, dark blue color comes from an incredibly powerful class of antioxidants called anthocyanins. Clinical research has proven that anthocyanins directly increase your cell's sensitivity to insulin. When you are diabetic, your muscle cells become deaf to the insulin knocking on the door. The anthocyanins act like a hearing aid for your cells, allowing them to finally hear the insulin, open the doors, and pull the excess glucose out of your bloodstream. If you are looking for an evening option, tart cherries are a metabolic secret weapon. While sweet cherries are higher in sugar, the tart varieties rank incredibly low on the glycemic index. Their real magic, however, happens while you sleep. Tart cherries are one of the only natural food sources of melatonin. Since sleep deprivation is a primary hidden driver of insulin resistance, causing your cortisol to stay high and your liver to dump sugar into your blood, consuming tart cherries promotes the deep, restorative sleep required to reset your pancreas for the next morning. During the day, the classic apple can be incredibly protective, provided you strictly eat the skin. The skin of an apple contains a highly specific type of soluble fiber called pectin. When pectin hits the acid in your stomach, it absorbs water and forms a thick, viscous gel that physically traps the natural fructose of the apple inside it. The sugar cannot escape into your bloodstream all at once. Instead, it trickles out at a slow, manageable drip, bypassing the panicked insulin response completely. For citrus lovers, grapefruit contains a miraculous flavonoid called naringenin. In clinical pharmacology, naringenin has been shown to behave incredibly similarly to the frontline diabetes drug metformin. It activates an enzyme in your body called AMPK, which acts as the master metabolic switch. When activated, it commands your liver to stop producing excess sugar and forces your muscles to burn the sugar that is already circulating. Because grapefruit can strongly interact with certain blood pressure and cholesterol medications, you must clear this with your doctor first. The fuzzy kiwi is another heavy hitter for glucose control. It is packed with vitamin C to lower oxidative stress on your pancreas. But more importantly, it contains a compound called inositol. Inositol acts as a secondary messenger inside your cells. When insulin drops off the sugar, inositol is the chemical that actually carries it into the cellular furnace to be burned for energy, ensuring this microscopic delivery system remains operational. When dealing with the blood sugar spikes that happen immediately after meals, black plums are phenomenal. They are exceptionally high in soluble fiber and trigger your fat cells to release a protective hormone called adiponectin, which regulates glucose levels and fatty acid breakdown. Since adiponectin levels are notoriously low in adults with type 2 diabetes, eating plums naturally restores your body's innate ability to manage carbohydrates. A fresh, firm peach is an excellent choice for a sweet craving due to its low glycemic load and its high potassium content. As your blood sugar spikes and drops, your body flushes massive amounts of water and minerals to try and stabilize itself. Potassium operates the electrical pumps in your cells, and replenishing it with a peach prevents the severe cellular fatigue that accompanies diabetic blood sugar swings. Pears offer similar benefits, acting as one of the most fiber-dense fruits available if you eat the skin. Because the carbohydrate-to-fiber ratio in a pear is so tight, your body works exceptionally hard to extract the sugar, burning calories simply digesting the structure of the fruit. Finally, to protect the cardiovascular system from the damage of diabetes, pomegranates are essential. High blood sugar acts like microscopic shards of glass, shredding the inner lining of your blood vessels. Pomegranates contain punicalagins, which are arguably the most potent antioxidants found in nature. These compounds travel through your bloodstream acting like biological fire retardants, cooling the inflammation in your vessels and protecting the fragile beta cells in your pancreas. You now have a biological arsenal of fruits that actively fight diabetes, but you must be incredibly careful. The food industry has taken perfectly healthy fruits and processed them into highly concentrated metabolic weapons. The most dangerous trap is fruit juice. When you run an orange or an apple through a juicer, you strip away the structural fiber, leaving a glass of concentrated liquid fructose. Without the fiber to slow it down, this liquid hits your liver like a freight train, triggering the liver to convert the excess sugar into circulating fat and violently spiking your blood glucose. Dried fruit is similarly destructive, acting essentially as sugar shrapnel. When you dehydrate a grape into a raisin, you remove all the water, shrinking the fruit while fiercely concentrating the sugar. You can easily eat 60 grapes when they are shrunk down into a handful of raisins, and commercial varieties like cranberries are almost always soaked in added cane sugar. Canned fruit in syrup is just as bad, as the fruit acts like a sponge, soaking refined liquid sugar deep into its cellular walls. Even fresh fruit can become a hazard depending on its ripeness. A green or slightly yellow banana contains resistant starch that passes through your gut without spiking your sugar. But the moment that banana develops brown spots and becomes soft, those starches completely break down into rapidly digesting simple sugars, triggering an insulin spike nearly identical to eating white bread. Lastly, tropical heavyweights like pineapples contain an incredibly high concentration of natural sugars with very little structural fiber. Even a small portion can cause a sharp escalation in your blood glucose, making them too volatile for an already elevated A1C. Having diabetes or prediabetes does not mean your life has to be devoid of sweetness. It simply means you must become a biological architect. You must choose fruits that come with their own built-in defense mechanisms, like skins, fibers, fats, and deep antioxidants. Start tomorrow morning by swapping a glass of juice for fresh blueberries, or slicing a firm apple with the skin on instead of reaching for an overripe banana. You are not just eating fruit. You are sending microscopic instructions to your cells, commanding them to heal, to open up, and to clear the sugar from your blood. This approach is rooted in clinical metabolic research and is meant for educational purposes, never replacing your doctor's advice, especially if you are on glucose-lowering medications. Take control of your biology, respect the fiber, and your metabolism will respond. And I will see you in the next video.